Up until now, we've looked at plenty of effects and we've looked at loads of knob twiddling and tweaking, but we haven't really looked at how to record that automation. Now, as I said in the last tutorial, you might have seen me accidentally record some automation. This really wasn't intentional, and it is, I think, a little bit of a shortcoming of the Maschine system. I tend to do it quite a lot. And this brings me to the fact that there are two different ways to record automation in Maschine. One of them is right within the software, and as usual, you can do everything in the software that you can do in the controller. So essentially, you could record your automation without your controller plugged in. The way they've done this is at the same time clever and also slightly infuriating, mainly because the outer ring here for every single knob is your automation ring. So by holding down the center ring, you make just a simple adjustment, and by holding down the outer ring, you can start to record automation. Now the cursor doesn't change, no color flashes up or anything. So it's very easy to accidentally place your cursor on the outer ring and start to make your adjustments, and you start recording automation. It will happen to you. It's probably not just me, it definitely will happen. Obviously, when you start to tweak parameters, you don't look how precise you're being. You often just put your mouse over the parameter and start tweaking away. Sometimes you're that 1 millimeter out. This aside, it is a cool system. It does work very well on the most part. And let's take a look at a specific. Let's look at our filter, for example, that we apply to our arpeggio, if I can get my words up. And we can look at maybe automating some cutoff here. Now, as soon as I start to move in this outer ring in the software, you're going to see automation appear in this lower section here. And this lower section of the display, and let me zoom in slightly so you'll see it nice and clearly, is completely dedicated to automation. And right now, as a default, you're going to see the velocity. New lanes will automatically appear. So let's get into it and start recording some automation here. And I'll also put some resonance in. Now, let me just stop it. You can see I automated 3 different parameters there, and 3 different lanes were automatically created. And the points that are created are very much like the velocity points. They're sort of small handles. You can actually click this paint button down here and you can draw them in yourself. Now at the minute we've got the step on 1/16. I suggest putting this on off when you're creating automation, and especially in the paint mode. This just means that you can, paint new detail in without any sort of locking or snapping taking place. These can be adjusted, double clicked, drawn in. It's very, very simple system. If you've used the automation for velocity, it's pretty much exactly the same. Now, this is one way of entering automation, and it's great, but I much prefer to do it on the fly in the controller itself. But obviously, if you're on a laptop and you haven't got your controller, this is one way it can be achieved. If you want to get rid of these, they can be quickly removed. If you want to change the mode or choose a mode, you can do that, and you can quickly see any automation. You can add modulators. So say you want a blank channel for the modulation speed, you can do that and you can draw it in yourself. So there's plenty of flexibility here. I'm going to remove these for now, just so we've got a blank canvas, and it will automatically take you back to velocity. That's always going to be present because obviously if there's data there is going to be velocity data. So let's look at the controller and let's look at how we can record automation in the controller. So here's our cutoff, and I'm just gonna, let's just solo this in fact. And I'm gonna take the modulation amount down. Great, so we've got our open filter with plenty of resonance. So I want to record a movement like that. Now, how do I do it? Now, there's a simple button, and it's just left of the knobs here, and you just want to hold that down, and then let go when you're happy. And you'll notice that the data that it records is much smoother, it's much closer together, and I just think it works better. And I find myself editing this sort of thing much less often when I use this method as opposed to the method in the software. Of course, you can now edit in the software. You can copy that and paste it, whatever you want to do. But ultimately, I think it's a much better system recording your automation right here on the hardware. And this can be done with any parameter pretty much. As long as you can see it here on the knobs or it's on the buttons, you can record it. Just hit that automation right, hold it down, and you're ready to go. So there you go, automation both on the hardware and in the software. It's that simple. Get recording some dynamic movements and add some interest to your music. In the next chapter, we're going to start to look at arrangement and how we can start an arrangement, a scratch arrangement if you like, using Maschine itself before we move into our DAW.